Let me tell you something, too many people are walking through life carrying burdens that were never theirs to hold. They put everyone else first. Their family, their friends, their job, their responsibilities, everything comes before them. And they wonder why they feel so lost, so drained, so empty. They wonder why the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear. See, life has a way of making you believe that self-sacrifice is the highest form of love, that putting yourself last is the noble thing to do, that if you just keep giving, if you just keep pouring into others, somehow, some way, you'll find the peace you're searching for. But that's a lie. That's a lie that will break you down and leave you running on fumes. You cannot heal, you cannot grow, you cannot become who you were meant to be if you keep abandoning yourself. You keep waiting for someone else to save you, someone else to see your pain, someone else to pick you up off the ground and tell you that you matter. But what if I told you that the only person who can truly do that for you is you? What if I told you that the first step toward healing is not seeking validation from the world, but giving yourself permission to prioritize you? You see, healing doesn't happen when you keep ignoring your needs. It doesn't happen when you keep saying yes when your soul is screaming no. It doesn't happen when you keep showing up for people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Healing happens when you decide once and for all that you deserve to be whole. You deserve to rest. You deserve to be at peace. And that only happens when you start making yourself a priority. People will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. They will wonder why you don't pick up every phone call, why you don't always show up the way you used to. But let me tell you something, you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. Because the truth is, when you are full, when you are healthy, when you are strong, you are able to give more, love more, be more. But you cannot pour from an empty cup. You want to heal? Start with yourself. Start by setting boundaries. Start by saying a no without feeling guilty. Start by listening to your body when it tells you it's tired. Start by walking away from the things and people that drain you. Because every time you put yourself second, you teach the world that you are not a priority. Every time you betray yourself, you reinforce the idea that your needs don't matter. But they do. They always have. The world will always ask more of you. It will always demand more than you have to give. But you get to decide how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice. You get to decide what you will and won't tolerate. You get to decide that you are no longer going to put your healing on hold. And when you make that decision, when you finally choose you, something incredible happens. You stop chasing things that were never meant for you. You stop entertaining people who don't respect you. You stop trying to prove your worth to those who will never see it. And instead, you create a life that nurtures you, a life that supports your peace, your growth, your happiness. This is not about being selfish. This is about survival. This is about knowing that you cannot serve the world if you are running on empty, that you cannot love fully if you are exhausted, that you cannot be your best self if you are constantly neglecting your own needs. And when you start thriving, you begin to see the world differently. You start noticing how much energy you used to waste on things that never served you. You start recognizing the people who only took from you but never poured back in. You start realizing that half of the battles you fought were never yours to fight in the first place. You start walking differently, standing taller, speaking with conviction. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your journey. You stop looking for permission to be happy, to be free, to be at peace. Because you finally understand that your well-being is your responsibility. No one is coming to fix you. No one is coming to rescue you. You have to do the work. But here's the thing, when you start doing that work, when you start choosing yourself, the right people will notice. The ones who truly love you will celebrate your growth, not shame you for it. The ones who value you will respect your boundaries, not guilt you into breaking them. And the ones who are only there to take advantage of your kindness will fade away because they can no longer manipulate you into putting them first. At first, it will be uncomfortable. You will second guess yourself. You will wonder if you're doing the right thing. You will feel the pull of old habits, the temptation to go back to the way things were. But don't. Stay the course. Keep choosing you. Keep reminding yourself that you are worthy of peace, worthy of the life you desire. Because healing isn't just about recovering from the past. It's about building a future that honors you. It's about stepping into a new version of yourself, one that refuses to settle, one that refuses to shrink, one that refuses to betray themselves just to make others comfortable. And the moment you step into that version of yourself, everything begins to shift. Your energy changes. Your confidence grows. You stop chasing things that are beneath you. You stop begging for love that should have been freely given. You stop wasting your time trying to fix what was never yours to fix. People will notice the difference. Some will admire it. Some will envy it. Some will resent it. But none of that matters because this journey is not about them. It's about you. It's about making sure that you never again abandon yourself for the sake of others. It's about waking up every single day and choosing to honor your needs, your dreams, your peace. It's about knowing that prioritizing yourself is not just an option, it is the foundation of your healing, the key to your transformation, the first step toward the life you were always meant to live. And as you walk this path, you'll notice something powerful. You begin attracting what aligns with your highest self. The friendships that once drained you, they start falling away. The situations that once made you anxious, they stop having power over you. The love you once begged for, you realize it was never real love in the first place. You no longer tolerate what dims your light. You no longer make space for what pulls you backward. You no longer feel obligated to shrink yourself just to fit into places that were never meant for you. And instead, you make room for something greater, something that feeds your soul, something that nourishes your spirit, something that elevates you instead of exhausting you. There's a peace that comes with choosing yourself, a peace that no one can take from you, a peace that doesn't come from validation, from approval, from applause. It comes from knowing deep in your core that you are finally living for you, that you are no longer bending over backward to be everything for everyone while being nothing for yourself. And let me tell you, when you finally step into that place, when you finally start protecting your energy, the world responds. Opportunities flow. The right people gravitate toward you. The things that once felt impossible suddenly seem within reach. Not because the world changed, but because you changed. Because you finally decided that your needs, your well-being, your peace, these are non-negotiable. It won't always be easy. Some days you'll feel the weight of old patterns creeping back in. You'll feel guilty for saying no. You'll feel tempted to go back to who you used to be, to the version of yourself that put everyone else first. But that version of you was tired. That version of you was struggling. That version of you was surviving, not thriving. And now you're stepping into something different. Now you're rewriting the story. Now you're standing in your power. Because prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. It's what allows you to love fully, to give fully, to live fully, to become the person you were always destined to be. And as you become that person, you start to understand something deep. You were never meant to live in a cycle of exhaustion, constantly pouring into others while leaving yourself empty. You were never meant to be the afterthought in your own life. You were never meant to carry burdens that don't belong to you. When you start choosing yourself, you break free from the patterns that kept you stuck. You stop feeling responsible for fixing everyone else's problems. You stop seeking permission to rest. You stop feeling guilty for putting yourself first. Because you finally recognize that your peace, your happiness, your mental and emotional well-being, they matter just as much as anyone else's. And do you know what happens when you stop waiting for the world to tell you it's okay to prioritize yourself? You move differently. You protect your time. You value your energy. You stop saying yes out of obligation and start saying yes only to what truly serves you. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand your journey. And that's when real transformation happens. That's when you begin to heal, not just on the surface, but deep within. That's when you let go of the need to prove yourself to those who never truly saw you. That's when you start surrounding yourself with people who uplift you instead of draining you, who celebrate your growth instead of resisting it, who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. And with that transformation comes something even more powerful: clarity. You start seeing what really matters. You stop chasing validation from people who don't deserve a seat at your table. You stop wasting your energy on things that don't align with your purpose. You stop allowing guilt to keep you tied to places you've outgrown. You start realizing that healing isn't just about letting go of the past. It's about creating a future where you no longer betray yourself, a future where you stand firm in your worth, a future where you no longer dim your light to make others comfortable, a future where you are no longer a background character in your own story. And when you finally step into that future, when you fully embrace the power of choosing yourself, you don't just survive, you rise. You become unstoppable. You become a force. And the world takes notice, not because you demand attention, but because your energy, your presence, your very existence radiates a strength that can't be ignored. And that strength didn't come from outside of you. It wasn't given to you by anyone else. It was always there, buried under years of self-sacrifice, hidden beneath the weight of expectations, locked away behind the fear of disappointing others. But now you've unleashed it. Now you've reclaimed what was always yours, the right to take up space, the right to honor yourself, the right to live fully without guilt or hesitation. And when you move with that kind of strength, you start making decisions differently. You no longer let fear dictate your choices. You no longer let the opinions of others determine your worth. You no longer seek validation in places that never truly saw you. Instead, you trust yourself. You listen to your intuition. You stand firm in what you know is right for you, even if others don't understand it. You stop explaining why you need rest. You stop justifying why you set boundaries. You stop apologizing for being unavailable to those who only drained you, because you finally realize that you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to prove yourself to people who never had your best interests at heart. You don't need to shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And as you embrace this new version of yourself, you notice something even more profound. You start attracting peace. You start attracting opportunities that align with your vision. You start drawing in people who respect your energy, who match your effort, who reciprocate the love and care you give so freely. And you know why? Because when you prioritize yourself, when you make self-care and self-respect non-negotiable, you send a message to the world: this is how I deserve to be treated. You stop accepting less than what you know you are worth. You stop settling for relationships, jobs, and environments that drain you. You stop engaging in battles that don't serve you. And in doing so, you create space for joy, space for the kind of life you once thought was out of reach. Because the truth is that life was never out of reach. It was waiting for you to choose it, waiting for you to stop putting yourself last, waiting for you to see that prioritizing yourself was never selfish. It was the key to everything you've ever wanted. And once you step into that understanding, you can't go back. You can't return to the version of yourself that tolerated being overlooked, dismissed, or taken for granted. You can't pretend you don't know your worth. You can't act like you don't deserve peace, love, and fulfillment. You walk differently now. You speak with authority. You move with intention. You know that every decision you make, every boundary you enforce, every time you choose yourself, you are shaping the life you were meant to live. And yes, some people will fall away. Some will resent your growth. Some will call you selfish, ungrateful, or difficult. But that's not your burden to carry. Their discomfort is not your problem. Their inability to accept your transformation is not your responsibility. You were never meant to stay small just to make others comfortable. And when you finally release the weight of that obligation, when you finally let go of the need to be everything for everyone else, you discover something incredible: freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from living unapologetically. The kind of freedom that comes from choosing joy over obligation, peace over guilt, self-love over self-sacrifice. You wake up lighter. You move through the world with clarity. You no longer second-guess your choices because you trust yourself. You no longer feel guilty for protecting your energy because you know how much it costs you to neglect yourself. You no longer beg for what you deserve because you have become the kind of person who attracts it effortlessly. And the beauty of it all, once you experience this level of peace, you'll never settle for less again. You'll never again betray yourself for the sake of pleasing others. You'll never again sacrifice your well-being just to be accepted. Because you know deep in your soul that prioritizing yourself was never a mistake. It was the moment you truly came alive. So today I challenge you, make yourself a priority. Not just when it's convenient, not just when there's nothing left to give, but every single day. Protect your energy, protect your mind, protect your peace, and watch how everything else in your life begins to change. Because when you choose yourself, when you prioritize your healing, you don't just survive, you thrive.